All right, this is good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the year, well, I don't remember what year it is actually over here. Let's see, maybe let's have a little check over here. When was this? This was like in the 50s. There it is, in the 50s, 1953. And then afterwards is another speech given by the Rebbe, also in the 50s or the 60s. Let's see. Where is it? Hebrew date. All right, well, 50s or 60s. Let's go one more. Here we go. Now the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, became Rebbe in 1950, officially 1951. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away in 1950 in America. Very interesting history. Well, this is a little bit longer. I should have looked beforehand. There you go. It is in 1957. 1957. Okay. There we go. All right. As we know, in this week's Torah portion, it talks about the flood. A pretty bizarre story. The flood. According to the Torah, there was another flood before that also. In the days of Enosh, it says there was another flood before that. But it's not, there are a lot of things that happened that are not written in the Torah. God wrote in the Torah what exactly was necessary, because the Torah is not just a history book. The Torah is also, every word is very exact according to very deep spiritual, mystical, creational forces that God created. But the whole point of the Torah is to teach us. So from everything in the Torah, we have to learn. All right, it would take a long time to learn everything, but there's a lot of books that are written about every word of the Torah, especially, most notably, there's the whole Talmud, which is just mountains and mountains of laws and about every word in the Torah, every letter, mostly how it's relevant to our action. But then there's also books of Kabbalah, of mystical secrets in the Torah. Most notably, those books of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Zohar, and the books of the Arizal. So here we go. Let's go. Now we have the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's, and they are their explanations are in the line of teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov's whole purpose was to bring Moshiach. He had an experience on one Rosh Hashanah where his soul went up to the chamber of the Moshiach, and he said, "When are you going to come? Emotai katimar, when are you going to come?" And the Moshiach said, "When your teachings are spread out all over the world." And these are the teachings. To teach most exactly the Jewish people how to act and speak and think and feel, and what our attitude toward the world is, and how it's our job to fix the world and not to have the world influence us in any negative way. So let's go. So here we have the classic story of the world affecting people in the wrong way. The story of Noah. The whole entire world, all mankind became, addicted to the world. And everything was changing, not only just man, and it caused by that animals also. It says the animals who were having relations with one another, not according to the way God wanted. God wanted that every animal should keep to its own type. With bears with bears and whales with whales, whatever. And here they were having relations. It says the whole world had perverted their ways. Some people say that's where the dinosaurs came from. It seems that the whole, the reproductive systems were also changed because they had children because of these weird relationships. So from the animals, it's not considered to be, animals are not commanded like people are commanded. People have what's called the 7 Noahide commandments, but the animals did so as a result of the people, because people became decadent. So the animals became decadent. In any case, God had his ways of figuring things out. He wiped the whole world out, except for Noah and his sons and their wives. That's it. The whole world was gone. Wiped out the animals also, except for the animals that were in the ark, the Teva. So here we go. In Torah, or in this week's Torah or portion, we learned a little bit of it, Torah or. I was in America, so we just learned the part in Torah or about the Tower of Babel. But really, it starts off with the idea of what exactly are these flood waters today. So here we go. Let's have a look. In Torah or Parshas Noach, Torah or is the book written by the first Rebbe of Chabad, one of the books. About 250 years ago, there were 7 Rebbes of Chabad, and the first one was called Shner Zalman, and he wrote this book called Torah or. Very declared, he's most noted for that he wrote the book called the Tanya, and that really codifies the whole way of serving God from the Baal Shem Tov called Hasidut. So in Torah or, it's explained as the marble that the flood is given nidnor ashtraf. It was not only a punishment, nor oich and inyan from Tahora, but also a cleansing, reinikum. This is Yiddish, by the way. Their marble, this flood, hat metar gewendet the Welt. It purified, refined the world. Welches Faran Mabel sorry, welche is Faran Mabel given on Umreiner, because Faran before the flood, the world was impure. See, the world depends on what man does. So when man became sinners, they debauched their ways, so they made the whole world impure. So it became very easy to sin. And everybody did. Now, you can ask a question, what does it mean to sin? Who says what's right? Who says what's wrong? Where is it written? So the answer is that God gave to Adam, the first man, principles of conduct. That's called the 6 of the 7 Noahide commandments. Some opinions say he gave him all 7 Noahide commandments, but 6 of the Noahide commandments. And so people knew that it was wrong to do these 6 things. Well, it boils down to really only 5 things. What are they? Don't kill, don't steal, don't blaspheme, say things bad about God, don't worship idols. You can only worship the creator of the universe, only the creator. And don't be sexually, how do you say, licentious or whatever, debauched. A man can have relations only with his wife. Sexual relations is only a man and his wife. Is prostitution permissible? I don't know. I have to look it up. I still don't know. But for sure, homosexuality and bestiality and incest, person having relations with his mother, that's forbidden. And the people did those things. All of them. All the people and all the things. So because of that, they defiled the whole world. It became easier and easier to do these bad things until that became the norm. Everybody's just thoughts were just, and urges were just filled with acting in the most, that is say, unhuman way possible. When therefore, is their marble, the marble was 40 days. So now the Rebbe says, but the flood was not just to punish the people. The flood was because, in the end, there were no people, right? He killed them all. the flood was was a punishment for sure, but it was mainly to purify the people, purify the world. Therefore, the flood was 40 days. And corresponding to the 40 units of water which are in a mikveh. Now, you know what a mikveh is? In Judaism, there's this thing called a mikveh. A mikveh is a body of water that's built according to very exact specifications. And it is essential in purifying things for the holy temple. Essential, going to the mikveh. And also in things which are related to the holy temple, and also relating to man, marital relations. A woman, if she has a menstrual a period, then she's considered to be impure. And she can't have relations with her husband until she's counted a certain amount of days. She becomes, the blood stops flowing. She counts a certain number of days, and then she goes to the mikveh. Mikveh is a very essential thing. It's more important than a synagogue. When you go to a city, the main thing you have to build is a mikveh. The mikveh is a place where you go. A lot of the Hasidim go every morning before they pray. They go to a mikveh. This mikveh is built in. So therefore, the flood was on the world. 40 water came down for 40 days. This corresponds to the 40 saw. There's a measurement. It's like a what is it? A gallon, a quart of water. 40 saw is a mikveh. Therefore, the mabul was called the waters of Noach. May Noach. It's in the prophet. This week's Torah. Haftorah we just learned from Isaiah. May Noach. There's Isaiah. Isaiah Nundala. That's what this week's Torah, the Haftorah, we learned yesterday. God said, I'm never going to bring the waters of Noah again, but they're called the way of waters of Noah. Why the waters of Noah? Exactly the opposite. Noah was good. Why should the waters be called on his name? Why attach to him this flood? He had nothing to do with the flood. If everybody would have acted like Noah, there wouldn't be any flood. Because it says, Naicha darucha, Nachat Ruach, they were waters which brought God pleasure. God didn't get pleasure from punishing everybody. The pleasure came from purifying the world. As does Zelba, the same thing. Verdort and Torah, it says in the Torah or ois fairlich darklert, exactly explained, is oich benogea daigos and tirdos from Parnasa. Nowadays, we also have these flood waters and that clean us. And what are they? Mostly worries that are brought to us from the world, mainly worries from making a livelihood. Which are called Mayim Rabim. They're called turbulent waters, multitude of waters. Viel Wasser, a lot of water. What's the Rebbe saying? What happened to the water in the days of the flood? God made this big flood in the world, and they washed away all the bad. The same thing is in this world. Worries in this world, problems, difficulties, they wash the world. Huh? They wash the world. They wash us. When a person, God forbid, has troubles in life, so he has to either raise above them or he gets swept away by them. Raising above them means that he has to come to a deeper level of a realization of who he really is and what he's really doing here. Shverket Shezunkin Ze'arab. I'm sorry, it's very difficult for me to read this. 1 second. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger here. Let's see if I can make this bigger. It's not working. Okay, 1 second. Oh, there's a thing over here. 1 second. I'm sorry. It's just very difficult. It could be that. Oh. There we go. Good. Yes. All right, here. Shvanken ze'erup, that they wash away by a mensch, by the person, the inyanim, the things, darfen nitzan, which should not be there. On Poland, they bring by means of this a pleasure. Let's take an example. A person runs after money. He runs after honor. He wants honor. When somebody else gets money or somebody else gets honor, he gets all jealous. Or if he doesn't get what he wants, so he gets all angry and vindictive, things like this. So it ends up that because of the world, so this person goes crazy. He goes crazy because of the world. And he thinks to himself, listen, if I only would have money, if I only would have the honor, success, the place in the sun, then I would be happy. When he gets there, he's not happy. These people are multimillionaires, right? Everybody else looks at them and says, wow, if only I had that money. But they personally are not any happier than anybody else. The Rebbe wrote a letter to someone once. He was talking about money. The person was miserable. So the Rebbe said, it all depends, life depends on your attitude. Right? Money is not going to make you happy. Success is not going to make you happy. What's the pure proof? Adam, the first man was in heaven. He had everything a person could. He had no competition. The whole world belonged to him, and nevertheless, he wasn't happy. First chance he got, he ate from the tree. Wasn't happy. He should have said to his wife, "No, I'm not going to eat from the tree." Right when she gave it to him, no. Nevertheless, he wasn't happy in heaven, and God had to evict him from heaven. Went against God's will. On the other hand, there were Jews that were in Auschwitz and concentration camps, and they were saying, "I believe in the coming of the Moshiach." They were positive in their future, right? Everything had been taken away from them, but they got to the essence of who they really are and what they are, and they were grateful to God that they're still alive. There were people like that. So the Rebbe is certainly not saying that Auschwitz is good and being in heaven is bad. What the Rebbe is, saying is that a person's attitude is what really determines the person, not the world determines the person. And a lot of times for a person to come to the right attitude is he has to readjust his connection to the world. Readjust. On the other hand, the person could say, listen, so I won't have anything to do with the world. I'll keep away from the world. I won't get married. I'll sit on a mountain somewhere and I'll be connected to God. And that's an idea which is the basis of a lot of Eastern religions, but that's certainly not Judaism. It's not the reason God created the world. We have to be in the world, yes. We have to deal with the world, but we have to deal with the world according to the way that God wants. We have to make this world a holy place. And that was the idea of the flood. The flood made the world a holy place. And the troubles, God forbid, that we have now, the difficulties, the challenges we have in life, is when we meet those challenges as in the proper way, as it can elevate the person to really who he really is. And that's the tremendous importance of the Torah. The Torah tells us the way things should be, the way the things should be, what people should want and what they should not, mostly what they should not want, right? But with non-Jews, it's the same thing in the Torah, the 7 Noahide commandments. A person that he wants to let's say, be licentious, he's obsessed with sex all the time, it's not right, it's not healthy, it's not proper. For a person to overcome those urges and to overcome peer pressure and to overcome what's now being taught in universities and schools and to overcome all that, is that makes the person realize, who am I really? What's really going on? Why shouldn't I do those things? What's wrong with it? The declaring then there's the what's the connection between worries of making a livelihood, worries of the world, mabul, and mikvah is like this, right? What did the Rebbe say? A mikvah makes you pure, and also worries from the world also purify you. The penimius dikar inyan from mikvah, the inner meaning of a mikvah is if you here we go. is bitul. The whole idea of the mikveh is what we call surrender, harmony. Azoivi the Rambam, like the Rambam, Maimonides, he writes, Sheyitpul b'mei dasa tohar. The purpose of going into a mikveh is not just to go into the water, but the water also signifies something, that you're immersed in what's called purifying waters. Soll sich Teufel sein in the Wasser from Reinadas. You should immerse yourself in the water of pure knowledge. Well, what is pure knowledge? Pure knowledge essentially means that God is creating everything. So we are in pure waters. We're surrounded. God is not just an idea inside of me. It's not just an idea inside of my head. It's not just that I'm a religious person and part of my day I devote to the Creator. But the idea of pure knowledge means that every moment of my life, I'm aware that every moment of life is a big gift. It's an amazing miracle. And everything that happens is God is making it happen. So if somebody cuts me off when I'm driving, right, and it gets me angry, so I should think, 1 second, who's creating this person that's cutting me off? It's God. Who made it happen that he cut me off? How did I get my car? Who am I? I'm being created by God. God is doing this whole thing. Why is he doing it? Because he wants me to react in a proper way. He wants me to react. So I get all angry. All of a sudden I think to myself, listen, 1 second. This was all orchestrated by God to teach me a lesson, not to get angry. It says that a person gets angry, it's like he's worshiping idols. Anger is a pure selfish reaction. And what does it mean to be selfish? Who am I? What do you mean, who am I? I'm the king of the world, or at least king of my house, or king of something. It says, you are not. That's not so. God is the king. God is creating you. Every moment of your life is an amazing gift. And God makes in the world challenges. You have to be in the world and react to the world properly and also act in the world properly. It means that every moment of my life is really not every moment of my life. It's really every moment of God's creative force. And God wants me to have free will, and God wants me to be, a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, have a potential, and to have children, and to have a wife, and have a house, and be a millionaire, who would be all these things. But it has to be on his terms, not on my terms. That I should realize that I am immersed in the pure waters of the creator of the universe all the time. I'm being surrounded by God's goodness and creation. I'm a product of it constantly. But in order to realize this, to reveal this, is sometimes there has to be problems in the world. Sometimes if it's too good for a person, so he really thinks that he's the king of the universe. He really thinks that I'm the boss. I call all the shots. The Rebbe, therefore, a mikveh has to have 40 saw. Why 40 saw? This is a must. This is the measure. Shekal gufa olabem. This says the measure that will cover a person's body, sufficient to cover one's. Thus, this means was zeinem arun. They take in the ganzen menschliche Körper. It takes in the entire human body. Und tvila, and not only that, the word for tvila, to immerse in the mikveh, are the same letters as ha, bi, tul. Ha, bitul means say it's self-surrender, negation, harmony. Bitul means giving yourself over. Thus, this means as their bitul, that this bitul, your surrender, was ergeta ruis. A person goes from his own egotism, his selfishness, as poiled in him, it brings an aliyah, an elevation, as air verta kli, so kedusha, that becomes a vessel for holiness. So like I said, who's creating me? What do you mean who's creating me? My parents created me, and now I'm creating, and the whole reason my parents existed was in order to create me, right? It says not so. The Torah says exactly the opposite, that your parents are more precious than you are. And their parents are more precious than their parents, because you are the product of, you're not a creator, you are a creation. You're a product of your parents. And from that, you can extrapolate and understand, just like I didn't create myself, and I'm not creating myself. And my parents created me. Who's creating me right now? God. So I go out of my own egotism. I'm angry. I want. I think. I know. I can. I. All this big capital I. It could. I mean, which is now worshipped nowadays. Nowadays, that's the thing. You do whatever you want. No, you can't stop me from doing what I want. No, I is a God. Whatever I feel, I think. Right. I think I'm a man. I'm a man. I think I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I think I. Well, this is the, how do you say, the same mistake that the people before the flood made. But nowadays, God said, I'm not going to make another flood. But what does he do? He makes troubles. And the troubles bring a person to realize who he really is. This is the true intention. Was men get them mensch, that's the reason why there are in this world worries of making a livelihood or other worries in the world. As stört und zumischt, because it prevents and confuses, even though that it stops the person and confuses him temporarily, wird durch them, by means of this, zu brachen by sich, or he'll be, how do you say, broken by this. Und geht rois from sein eigenem Ich, and he goes out from his own egotism. Und durch them, by means of this, wird a kli to kedusha. And when a person has, a big problem in the world, it says that that's the main reason that God brought the flood, was because of Hamas, because of stealing. People stole from each other. People stole money, especially. Right? Money can drive people crazy. From that came the whole improper conclusion from communism that money is the root of all evil. We got to get rid of money. I understand this. I don't know if that's really true, but they say there's plans now to do the same thing. They want to have crypto money. But anyway, getting rid of money, that's the big thing. You got to get rid of money because money is bad. Some people get rich, some people get poor. And the rich, they rule over the poor. Okay, but this is a big lie. It's not so. Money is not a problem. The problem is not money. The problem is how we treat money. That's the problem. It's how we treat money. Like they say, communism works. It makes everybody was common, right? Everybody was equal. They were equally poor, right? There were bread lines. There was this. Stalin was always making a 10-year program, a 15-year program. Money, I'm going to get rid of all of your money problems, right? With that idea of getting rid of all your money problems, Stalin killed, they don't even know today. I heard one estimation, 50 million people. Other people say, come on, he wasn't such a bad guy. He only killed 30 million people. Nevertheless, it killed millions and millions of people. Children turned in their parents for money. The whole idea was just money. Right? We're going to equalize money. Right? Who made this weird idea? Of course, a Jew. Right? Marx made it the whole idea. Right? Jews gone wild. They really wrecked the whole thing up. Christianity is a product of a Jew. The big problem in the world is money. You get all these people, the evil people, they have money. They got the most money. They have money. That means money is bad? No, money is not bad. But the problems of money, exactly the opposite, says the Rebbe. Problems of money, because people have money, people don't have money. And problems of money, that washes a person away. A person starts thinking, who am I really, right? The answer to the problem is take away the money from the rich. That's not the answer. The answer to the problems of the world is change my attitude toward money. Money is a gift from God. I have to work, and God gives the results. A doctor that works for money is not such a good doctor. Right? I mean, genuinely, it could be he's a better doctor than everybody else. It could be that these Nazis were the best doctors in the world. It could be. They just turned their talents to evil things. Like pressure from the world. There's not only talking about problems of money, problems in general from the world, peer pressure to be like everybody else, to take a stand against evil, So it says that the world forces us to change our attitude or to be swept away. So therefore he says, the problems from the world are like a mikvah. 40 saw, because it's the emes of the truth intention is nitzu b'shtraf, and God doesn't want to punish us. He doesn't want us to suffer. Nor bichdei only on the arup zu vashinvention, to wipe away on up raining and to purify from in the nit good zachen, the not good things, is b'mela. So automatically we can understand as das can upgetan während euch in ein minute, you can it be done in even 1 minute. How long does it take to go into the mikveh? 1 minute. If a person takes in his mind that I'm not going to let money drive me crazy, oib in ein regef, in 1 moment, veter arois nemen the kavana penimis darfum. If you take out the inner intention on poiling. Now, don't get the wrong idea over here. The Rebbe is not saying don't do anything, just sit in a hammock in the street, and God is going to send money. No, you want to be a doctor, you have to learn in university. You want to be a lawyer, you have to learn how to do these things. You want to be a computer, you can't just go and say, I am a product of the Lord. I want you to give me a job in computers. So you know how to use a computer? The Lord will show me, right? You don't know anything. Of course, it's not going to work. God wants a world. He wants a world where people are productive in the world and where they're active in the world. Like the story with Joseph and his brothers, right? Joseph was a big expert in everything in the world, everything in the world. Good, by Joseph was a gift by God, but nevertheless, he was tremendously active to the point where his brothers, that they were all shepherds, right? That Joseph and his brothers, we'll learn about it soon. His brothers couldn't imagine how a person can be attached to God. And he can't be their brother. The brothers of Joseph, were attached to God. They were godly people. In order to do that, they had to be shepherds far away from the world. They could think. Joseph was in Egypt, which was the most licentious and debauched place in the world, and he was purifying the whole entire country. Right? How could he do such a thing? Because Joseph was involved. He was, how do you say, earnest. You want to be a really godly person. So if you have a store, you have to give the best merchandise, and you have to be honest in your dealings. You have to be caring about people. You have to be really involved. You can't just say, I'm a man of the Lord, don't bother me. Right? Everything is coming to me. And then you'll see big blessings. That's the point. If a person empties himself out, then he becomes big. He gets along with other people. People don't anger him. People doesn't think about being jealous and being, etc. What another person has. So the problems of the world can purify a person to the point where he realizes the truth. I am a creation. God put me here in order to make the world a better place. When poil and by zich, this brings about by a person. Was there inyan darf up oiftan? The problems of the world, they caused by the person the purification which is supposed to be done. Is showing their meat. As soon as he realizes this, then he's showing a rois. Was showing darmit, but is this a line yotze? That's enough. So it could be even 1 moment of troubles and difficulties. The person all of a sudden realizes, hey, 1 second, this is right. Like I say, somebody cut me off I'm in the street, cut me off. I'm driving my car. I have a new car, brand new car, and this guy's an old jalopy. And he cut me off, and he scratched my car. Usually you get angry. Some people, the road rage, go berserk. And it happens in life. In life, a person gets cut off by other people. People disturb me. People bother me. People this. 1 second, if I realize 1 second, God arranged this whole thing. This whole thing was arranged by God. That person did not cut me off. God wanted that person should cut me off. He's a creation of God. I'm a creation of God. I should not get angry. You see, come out, you're blazing mad with a gun with the screaming. What did you improve? Absolutely nothing. You made the situation worse than it was before. If you come out and say, well, why did you cut me off? Then the person is yelling and screaming. I said, okay, listen, what happens? You don't get angry at the person. You say to him, listen, I think you should drive carefully. Was it my fault? Was it all of a sudden the person said, no, you're right, it was my fault. Then there's a chance maybe things will get better. If you bring the creator into the picture. That's called purifying the person. When it's Ken shine by him, neicha, then it can be by him already a pleasing aroma to God. Sayin, the gashmius and sayin ruchnius, whether spiritual or physical. Okay, I wanted to do more, but let me just go over quickly what the Rebbe says. it says these waters, there's two types. I'll just the beginning. The Mayim Zaydunim, these turbulent waters that wash a person up, there are two types. It says there was waters that came from the depths, and there was also waters that came from the heaven. It rained for 40 days, yes, but there was also water that came from the depths. It burst through. So also is in problems, personal problems, there's two different types. There's problems which come from the world, physical problems, problems in health, problems in this. Then there's spiritual problems. What do you mean spiritual problems? Sometimes a person, it's thrown on a person that he has obligations in the world to help others, learning Torah, doing commandments. This is especially for the Jews, doing commandments, as he has problems in these things, right? It's hard for him to learn. It's difficult for him to find time to help others. He doesn't want to pray, or he doesn't want to do the commandments at all. He has no inclination whatsoever to do any of the commandments in the Torah. Spiritually, he's not inclined to follow God. So it says, what's going to be the solution to this? It says, Bo ala teva. God said you should go into I'm just summarizing, you should go into the ark. The word for ark in Hebrew is also the same word for letters and words, tevot. Teva means words, the words of prayer and the words of the Torah. Interestingly enough, that God, the whole Jewish religion is based very, very strongly on words. True, Abraham began the Torah, and Abraham was 400 years, whatever, before the Torah was given. So Abraham gave us the attitude of self-sacrifice that we have to have. But we have to have that attitude for what? For learning the Torah and doing what it says in the Torah and to pray to God. Those are all words. It says, go into the words of prayer and learning Torah and tefillah. You go into those words protect you. They can protect you from the world. And a non-Jew also, he can say Psalms, right? And it doesn't even have to be in Hebrew. Just the words, the ideas that these are God's words. This protects you from the vicissitudes, the evil occurrences, and things that I said, the confusion of the world. Both whether they're talking about the things that come from below, the depths, or things that come from spiritual, right? To change a person's the ideas, false ideas of the world, the words and letters of the Torah, they protect you. Now, it doesn't mean that it fixes you up immediately. It fixes you up. You learn Torah, you're immersed in the words of Torah and prayer. It fixes you up 15%, 20%. The rest you have to do yourself, but at least it's there. There is a, what do you say, a lifesaver, a lifeboat that you can get into. That's the Torah and the prayer. But then afterwards, God says to Noah, go out of the ark. We have to go into the world. The purpose is not just to save ourselves, to be insulated from the world. That's also an accomplishment. It's not easy that the world doesn't affect us. But we have to affect the world as well. And in some ways, that's even more important. The Torah, the prayers that we pray, that fixes us up 10, 15%, 20%. But our drive to fix up the world and correct the world, our drive to fix up the world and know that we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to make this world a better place however we can, encourage other Jews to do Torah and commandments, that encourage the non-Jews to do the 7 Noahide commandments, as that gives us a purpose in life, and the purpose in life that pulls us, right? It pulls us into the world, pulls us properly, so that we don't have to force ourselves. This ideal that we have of fixing the world, we know that we're important, we have a job. Even to say one more good word, to say one good smile, a helping hand, having a good attitude in the world, this gives us a feeling that we're here for a purpose, we're here for a reason. And this reason also is the whole idea of making this confusing world so that we will be here to fix it. Like it says, Asher Bor Elokim La'asot, God made the whole world so that we should fix it up. May God give us the power and the intelligence and the pureness of heart, that we take this all seriously with a happy way. When a person has a purpose, he's happy. In a happy way, that we fix up ourselves and we fix up the world around us, that it becomes a happy and a blessed and a holy place where there is peace and harmony and progress in everything, in every detail, and meaning in every single moment of our lives. Have a good Shabbat with Moshiach now. Now let's do the Yom Yom. Here we go, Yom Yom. Here it is. For today and tomorrow. Okay. Breshit. Let's do from yesterday. Did we do yesterday? I don't even remember here. No. Oh yes, that's it. Okay. Remember yesterday we said that the first Lubavitcher Rebbe said that we have to learn from the Torah what to do today. The Torah is the news. What to do. Okay. So let's learn. Let's have a couple examples from how to learn from the Torah what to do, how to feel. What's the real godly news today? Breshit, last week's Torah portion, talked about creating the world. So it begins really happy, even though the ending is not so pleasant. The world is sinning, right? There's the flood there, and everybody's this flood. But this week, it ends up, okay, Breshit is cheerful, but its ending is not pleasant. Noach, this week's Torah portion, Noach is not so happy. It talks about the flood that kills everybody, but it ends up on a good note, right? Last week's Torah portion was Breshit. It ended up on a bad note. Everyone was sinning. This week's Torah portion, and it starts off bad, but it ends up on a good note with the birth of Abraham. The really joyous week is next week, Lech Lecha. Every day of the week we live with Abraham. He was the first person to dedicate his very life to be self-sacrificing, to spread the idea that God is creating the world and everything is being created for a purpose. He wanted to spread godliness in the world, right? Noah just kept to himself. Anyone who wanted to come into the ark and save himself could come. But Noah didn't do anything to influence the world. He didn't have the power to do so. But Abraham did do so. And Abraham gave this self-sacrifice as an inheritance to all Jews. That's the essence of Judaism, is the self-sacrifice. What does it mean? Doing what God says, not necessarily what you say. This is tomorrow, Shabbat. Torah study is crucial. Torah, this is talking to Jews. Torah is essential to learn. Non-Jews are not supposed to learn the Torah just for the sake of the Torah. They're supposed to learn the ideas which are relevant to them to improve your life. It's a Torah study is crucial to life. This applies not only to the soul of one studying it, but also to his family. Because then through Torah study, the atmosphere of the house becomes an atmosphere of Torah and piety and happiness, I'll add in. Okay, have a good Shabbat, everyone. God willing, Yom Rishon, I'll be over my jet lag. And I woke up just like 10 minutes before the class today. So Yom Rishon, Sunday, 8:15, we learn Torah Or, and then at 9 o'clock we learn Dvar Malchut, or a Sikh of the Rebbe. Dvar Malchut we'll learn. And then in the afternoon we learn a little bit of Torah with commentary at 3 o'clock. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good Shabbat with Moshiach now. Thank you for coming.